polarities can be challenging, especially when the concept is new. That's why Polarity Partnerships created the PACT 5-step S.M.A.L.L process. The S.M.A.L.L process can help you systematically see, map, assess, learn from, and leverage polarities. You may know what a polarity is, but can you recognize one in your own life? It's a skill that can take some practice to develop. The first step, seeing, teaches you to look at challenges, opportunities, opposing viewpoints, and different value systems through a polarity lens. It helps you reframe either-or situations as both end when it is appropriate. For example, either lead or empower becomes both lead and empower. Either shared identity or unique identity becomes both shared identity and unique identity. When you look at issues through a polarity lens, it can help you increase your awareness of the polarity energy systems around you and the virtuous or vicious cycles they can become. Tension between the two poles can become a virtuous cycle, leading to the greater purpose at the top of the map, where the tension can become a vicious cycle when or replaces and, leading to the deeper fear at the bottom of the map. The second step, mapping, teaches you how to complete a polarity map and use it to leverage the energy within any polarity so that energy can work for you rather than against you.
A polarity map gives you a more complete picture of a polarity, helping you understand how all polarities work. A polarity has two poles connected by an "and." In this example, we'll use the polarity decentralized and centralized. The polarity's energy system flows between and around the two poles to form an infinity loop. Each pole has an upside it brings to its relationship with the other pole. One upside of decentralization is responsiveness. One upside of centralization is coordination. Each pole also has a downside that occurs when you start to lose the benefit of the other pole. When an organization overfocuses on coordination to the neglect of responsiveness, it becomes vulnerable to bureaucratic bottlenecks. The natural self-correction is to become more responsive. When an organization overfocuses on responsiveness to the neglect of coordination, it becomes vulnerable to silos operating in isolation. The natural self-correction is to become more coordinated. When we put the infinity loop into the four quadrants of a polarity map, we create a quadrant for each upside and each downside. A well-leveraged polarity maximizes both upsides and minimizes both downsides. We show this with an infinity loop that goes high into the two upsides and minimally involves the downsides. This can create a virtuous cycle, shown by the arrows spiraling upward from the two poles toward the greater purpose, a thriving organization. If you do not see the interdependence of the two poles and view these objectives as being in conflict, you create a false choice in which you believe you must choose between decentralized or centralized. When fighting over these two objectives occurs, first, the organization will find itself in the downside of the winner's preferred pole. This is shown by the infinity loop going deeply in the downside of this pole. If the struggle continues, the organization will find itself in the downsides of both decentralization and centralization. Here, the energy can become vicious, as shown by the arrows spiraling downward from the two poles toward the deeper fear, a failing organization. Seeing the interdependence of the two poles can lead to a well-leveraged polarity. We'll go into more detail about the polarity map and its components later in this training.
Once you've identified a polarity and mapped it out, you need a way to measure how well you're currently doing at optimizing the upsides and minimizing the downsides of both poles. The third step, assessing, is a powerful part of your process. It transforms the wisdom in your polarity map into a polarity assessment. It provides clear feedback about your current situation. It is a scalable process useful for individuals, teams, divisions, departments, organizations, communities, and even nations. Once you've completed a polarity assessment, it's time to reflect on what you can learn from the results. The fourth step, learning, is designed to drive deeper insights from your assessment results. The learning step helps you to use the quantitative and qualitative data you received from your polarity assessment to support quality conversations and insights surrounding the polarity you're facing. Once you're clear on where you want to be, mapping, and where you are now, assessing and learning, you can develop and execute dual solutions to gain and sustain greater success and satisfaction immediately and over time. The fifth and final step, leveraging, supports your ability to be both proactive and responsive. Create and/or maintain action steps you will take to achieve your desired outcomes. Identify and monitor early warning signs that will alert you early when you are getting into the downsides of an overfocus on one pole to the neglect of the other pole so you can course correct as soon as possible. See, map, assess, learn, leverage. Following the steps in the above order allows you to build on the knowledge and experience you gain from each step that comes before. However, the S.M.A.L.L process is completely adaptable. Sometimes it may make more sense to change up the order and/or combine steps to better fit your unique circumstances. When we dive into each step in more detail, we'll explore different options for how to apply the 5-step process to fit your unique context, scope of work, and needs.